You eat it yourself. If you don't eat it, I'll keep holding it. Humph. Yuanan pouted, puffing his cheeks in frustration. I had no way to deal with him. Under his persistent gaze, a bowl of was nearly finished by me, leaving only Honestly, I don't even like crayfish that much. But somehow, the shrimp he peeled himself tasted sweeter and fresher than usual. And with his pampering expression, the shrimp seemed to have an extra layer of deliciousness. Just then, I suddenly noticed a tempting scene nearby. Three beautiful girls in black stockings walked past us, each of them subtly throwing flirtatious glances at. I couldn't help but look at them for a moment long, not because they were exceptionally beautiful, but because they seemed to still be students. And yet, wearing black stockings, the three girls walked past, whispering excitedly. That handsome guy was looking at us earlier, wasn't he? Of course, we're so good looking, but he's really handsome. He totally looks like Eddie Peng. Could a celebrity be eating here? Don't be silly, okay? He's even more handsome than Eddie Peng. Should we circle back and ask for his Impossible, right? The girl sitting across from him is she's even prettier than a celebrity. She must be his girlfriend, and she looks pretty fierce too. The three girls excitedly chatted among them. Though they spoke softly, I could hear everything. I awkwardly withdrew my gaze. But in the next moment, I felt a gentle kick under the table on my thigh. I felt a light kick. I looked innocently at Yuanan. Hey, why did you kick me? Yuanan's face showed a hint of jealousy. Humph, you like looking so much, huh? Then I'll wear black stockings to work tomorrow. I was startled. What the? This company sure has great benefits. Looking at the fierce yet adorable expression on Yuanan's face, I held back my laugh. Then I spoke seriously. You're not allowed to wear them. But as soon as the words left my mouth, I felt something. Why am I even telling him what to do? Yet, looked at me with a shocked expression. The boy he liked was actually telling him not to wear them. This feeling, it was like he belonged to me, my personal treasure. Why? He squinted his eyes teasingly. My cheeks turned slightly red as I lowered my head. Just no. No reason. I was firm. After all, he was only 18. Dressing like that for me is one thing, but for the whole office to see? Unacceptable. Yeah, that's it. I justified it in my mind. Finally, I let out a relieved sigh. Yuanan smirked slightly. He obediently replied, okay. His eyes sparkled with delight. A while later, we finished all the delicious food. By then, it was already 8:30 p.m. At this point, Yuanan ordered 2 bubble teas. From this experience, I realized that girls can really eat a lot. Even with such a slender waist, no sign of fullness was ever visible. I could barely finish my bubble tea, yet he looked like he could easily handle 2 more cups. Holding his bubble tea, sipping with his little mouth, he suddenly noticed a couple nearby. They were drinking bubble tea in a cross-arm toast style. He thought this was incredibly sweet and immediately leaned closer to me with excitement. Chen, look at that couple. They're so sweet. Let's drink bubble tea like them. Can we please? He looked like a little kitten, grabbing at my hand. But no matter what he said, I wouldn't agree. You said it yourself. That's something only couples do. I'm not that bored. I wouldn't indulge him. After all, we were just out for a meal. How did it escalate to this point? Humph. You'll never find a girlfriend acting like this. After being rejected, Yuanan stomped his foot in frustration. The more he thought about it, he quickly and lightly punched my chest. Then, afraid of getting caught, he turned and ran away with a mischievous grin. I felt his soft punch and got annoyed. Spoiled him too much. Now he dares to punch, but as soon as he turned, he tripped over a stone. His body tilted, clearly about to have an intimate encounter with the ground. My reflexes kicked in, and I grabbed his waist. With a strong pull, I pulled him back. His petite body, under the force, landed in my arms with a thud. Ah, that scared me. The scene just now had clearly frightened Yuanan. After a pause, he came to his senses, realizing he was in my arms, his ears picking up the sound of my heartbeat. His face turned a soft shade of red. He murmured a soft thank you and buried his face deeper into my chest, taking in the scent of cherry blossoms on me. Hey, Yuanan, what are you doing? Let me hold on a bit longer. No way. Hugging and clinging like this is improper. Let go of me. I immediately tried to break free. This brat got the upper hand on me again. Yuanan stuck out his tongue playfully and whined sweetly in his sugary voice. No. I wanted to grab his tongue, to see if he'd dare stick it out, but that was really close just now. Yewanan almost got hurt. This time, a light drizzle suddenly started, but soon the drizzle turned into a heavy. Yewanan anxiously grabbed my hand and ran toward the car shed. I didn't object. With our clothes getting soaked, who cares about such things? Before we reached the car shed, the light drizzle turned into a torrential rain. Helpless, we had to find a place to take shelter. Yewanan, familiar with the area, held my hand and led me through twists and turns into a small Chenchin. Here, we can shelter here. I then realized it was a narrow wall, and it could only fit one person. The wind was strong, and Yewanan's hair was soaked, but he didn't seem to mind. Chenchin, you squat down quickly. I didn't know what he was planning, but I followed along. Yewanan stood, spreading his clothes open, like an umbrella, shielding me from the torrential rain. Even though he was soaked through himself, he looked proud and smug, saying with a laugh, "This way, my Chenchin won't get wet." I felt touched. As I was about to stand up, Yewanan firmly pressed me down, not letting me get up. "What if you catch a cold in the rain? If you take leave tomorrow and don't come, I won't be able to see you." I was left speechless by his. Turns out, this was Yewanan's plan all along. In the end, I couldn't resist, so I obediently squatted down. With him covering me, I barely got wet, but Yewanan was completely drenched. Fortunately, the rain stopped not long after. I stood up, taking his wet hand in mine, and headed toward the scooter. "I'll take you home now. Once you're back, take a hot shower immediately." Got it? But Yewanan was shivering. "Too cold to hear a word," I said. He tugged at my sleeve and softly murmured, "Chenchin, I'm so cold. Can you hug me?" I gently touched his wet hair, then opened my arms and hugged him lightly. Feeling the embrace of his beloved, Yewanan immediately felt less cold. He slowly raised his head to look at me, and I looked down at his face. Our eyes met. The atmosphere gradually turned a little strange. His delicate cherry-like lips were vivid and striking, even without lipstick. The longer I looked, the more tempted I felt to steal it. Finally, he spoke again. In a weak voice, he pleaded, "Chenchin, can you reward me just once?" His soft, sweet voice was like an anesthetic, making my mind buzz uncontrollably. I gently leaned down. Yewanan cooperatively tiptoed up. And just like that, we embraced and kissed. However, accidents always come at the best moment. Lost in the moment, we didn't notice our center of gravity leaning to the right. With a loud thud, I fell awkwardly to the ground. Ouch! "Chenchin, I'm so sorry. I was too careless." "Are you hurt?" "Dad, Chenchin, you're bleeding." "I'll call 120 right now." Yewanan panicked. He anxiously tried to help me up. While dialing for help on his phone, terrified that if he delayed, something might happen to his beloved. The fall wasn't light, but I didn't blame Yewanan. I could only blame myself for not noticing. I propped myself up and looked at my knee. It was scraped with a 2-centimeter cut. It must have happened when I fell against the scooter, scratched by something sharp. Though it looked frightening, a little treatment would suffice. It wasn't a big deal. I'm not some celebrity. There's no need to go to the hospital for a scratch. Thinking this, I quickly stopped him. "Hey, Wanan, there's no need to go. I can handle it myself." But Yewanan was stubborn and domineering. "No, you're bleeding. How could you not go to the hospital? Don't move. You might make the wound worse. 120 is on its way now." I was utterly helpless. At this point, no matter what Yewanan wouldn't listen. But honestly, he looked more like a domineering female CEO, though his voice was still soft and sweet. After a while, the ambulance arrived. Seeing the blood, they quickly put me on a stretcher. But once they examined the wound, the doctors all stared at us with a look of disbelief. As if to say, "Seriously, bro? This little wound needed an ambulance?" Feeling their stares, I awkwardly covered my face. An hour and a half later, it was already past 11 p.m. In a well-equipped private hospital room, the doctors cleaned my wound with alcohol and bandaged it up. Meanwhile, Yewanan used the time to take a shower in the private bathroom. He changed into clean clothes. "Chenchin, do you want medicine? Are you thirsty? Do you need water? Do you want an apple? Are you cold? Chenchin, will you talk to me?" Feeling his care, I couldn't help but laugh. "No need, you should rest." Hearing that, he finally obediently waiting for my instructions. With the wound bandaged up, I told him I wanted to be discharged. But unexpectedly, the once obedient Yewanan turned fiercely stubborn, stopping me. "No way. What if you make a sudden movement and the wound opens back up? What if it gets infected afterward? If it splits open and gets infected it could lead to leg paralysis. If it worsens into total disability, it would be disaster. So Chenchen, you'd better stay in the hospital and rest. He held my shoulders firmly, refusing to let me leave. After hearing his words, I initially felt indifferent, but now I started to feel scared. It felt like he was cursing me. I lay back on the bed again, recalling the moment we embraced and kissed. The atmosphere in the ward suddenly turned cold. Ye Wanan looked at me, her face blushing slightly. It seemed like she was also reminiscing about that. Finally, after 5 minutes, she broke the silence and spoke first. Chen, I've spoken to management. You don't need to go to work tomorrow. Just rest here properly. It's getting late now. How about we sleep? I glanced at her, feeling like my life was being completely arranged, but I couldn't sleep. In this kind of environment, I wasn't sleepy at all. However, Ye Wanan had another idea. Then, how about I tell you a bedtime story? I was speechless. I don't need to be coaxed to sleep. I just don't want to sleep. But Ye Wanan started rambling on her own, looking very serious and gentle. Once upon a time, there was a... Hearing this, I felt exasperated. That story's from 800 years ago. Noticing my displeasure, Ye Wanan quickly switched to another story. Snow White and Her 7 Little Lovers. After listening to 5 stories in a row, I didn't fall asleep, but Ye Wanan herself did. She dozed off, resting her little face on the blanket, her breathing becoming even in no time, falling into a deep sleep. Seeing her sleeping while sitting looked I gently carried her and slowly placed her. She didn't wake up. Maybe it was because she was, or maybe she's just the kind of person who sleeps very deep. She seemed like a child who never grew up, not waking up despite all the movement. I patted her little head and said, "Good night." Then I turned and left. I still preferred sleeping at home because I had a plush pillow there. It's a habit of mine. I can't fall asleep unless I'm holding something. The next morning, a ray of sunlight shone into the hospital. Ye Wanan slowly stretched out her curled up body. The sunlight was so warm that it made her feel a bit. She got up slowly, stretching lazily like a napping kitten. When she realized where she had slept, she finally remembered the events of the previous day. Wait a second. Wasn't the one supposed to be lying on the hospital? How did I end up taking the bed? Thinking of this, she began to blame. Chenchen was the patient, and yet she had taken the patient's bed and slept in it for the entire night. Looking around the empty room, she suddenly came to her senses. What? Chenchen is missing. Ye Wanan quickly got up and searched under the bed and in the... After searching for a long time, she couldn't find... She was on the verge of going crazy. Fortunately, at that moment, she rushed up to the nurse and asked, "Where is the patient who was with me yesterday?" "Oh, he left last night. And he was very thoughtful about you. He told me not to disturb you." Hearing this, Ye Wanan's mind went blank, buzzing. Like a deflated balloon, she collapsed onto the bed. It was only then that her lover had left last night, taking advantage of her deep... She felt like crying. Even though Chenchen's leg, he still insisted on leaving. For a moment, he thought he had been rejected once again. But then he suddenly thought of something. His eyes lit up, and he regained his composure. Ye Wanan quickly freshened up, grabbed her phone, and took a cab straight to the office. When she rushed into the office in a flurry, she saw that familiar profile and finally breathed a sigh of relief. At that moment, I was reviewing videos of young ladies dancing. I had been staring at the screen for a full half minute. Seeing this, Ye Wanan grew jealous. She quietly walked up behind me and leaned down. While I was clicking them, I suddenly felt a warm sensation on my face. A mischievous little rascal had pecked my cheek. Startled, I turned around and saw it was Ye Wanan. I didn't expect her to be so bold with a sneak attack. I quickly reached up to rub the red mark off my face. "Wanan, what are you doing? So many people are watching." My face turned red, and I realized I couldn't stop myself from feeling a hint of... Meanwhile, Ye Wanan was grinning cheekily. That was a good morning kiss. Her cherubic face beamed with youthful energy, and her smile was incredibly charming. It even made some of the still drowsy employees around us perk up. "Does Chenchen not like it?" She tilted her head, looking puzzled. I lowered my head helplessly, not knowing what to say for a moment. But this scene made all the single people in the office envious. They began gossiping about my seemingly oblivious... Ye Wanan, noticing everyone's eyes on her,